People, Deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're all doing well and safe. Now, last night, Aston Villa and Arsenal played each other. Villa lost. Villa lost. I wish they lost. Villa won 1-0. Arsenal lost. You know, we've been saying for the last 4 years or so, it's our worst ever season. But there's a real prospect of no European football of any standard at the Emirates next year. You know, we're hoping for the best against Chelsea in the FA Cup. But yesterday highlighted a lot of problems with Arsenal. You know, the themes were there. Managing out a game, you know, we started well, first 20 minutes, first 25, dare I say. We was all over them. Couldn't get out, they couldn't get out their half. You know, Jack Grealish is pending in deep, is looking decent. But you've got to know what you're doing in possession, and Arteta clearly knows that. I mean, you know, it's all good. The way we set up, if we did that against Chelsea, Liverpool, that's great. But when we're on top of teams, when we have the bulk of possession, we have to utilise it. Possession means nothing if you don't win the game. And there was at large periods, you know, we had 70% possession at large periods in the game, you know, but we wasn't testing Reina. How often was Reina tested? You know, Reina's licking his lips. He's kept a clean sheet against Aubameyang, etc. And the supporting acts, and he's played against worse defenders, worse strikers, and conceded more goals, sort of thing. So Reina's laughing. Our strikers had the fewest touches in comparison. You know, I didn't think Ceballos had the best of games, but he's the only one actively trying to break the lines. And even then, it's all sideways 9 times out of 10 with him in games like this. So I think for Arteta and them guys there, they have to go to the drawing board, specifically creation of chances, creating chances, you know, breaking the lines when you're on top of teams, because it didn't make much sense. You know, they were in a 4-3-3 formation. You know, in reality, Villa's obviously blue. Well, apologies for the green screen. I haven't quite mastered it when, you know, flashing lights, so it probably looks a bit blurry. But they were in a 4-3-3. In reality, people, they were more something like this, you know. They were more something like that. They were more of a 5 in midfield. Rightly so. They're going to concede possession as we're on top of them. It weren't a thing like that. As you know, like I said, first 20-odd minutes, we're in their half. Our centre-halves, our back three are in their half, and this is why you need players who can break the lines or try something different, because our strikers are being penned in and sort of things, and they're not having much joy. You know, we've shoehorned Eddie out there to do a job for us. Aubameyang's quite there. Aubameyang's actually more central than could be, and Eddie, whenever he can, is trying to be as narrow as possible. Obviously, our fullbacks can create the width, and then when you've got someone like Torreira, in reality, in theory, he should drop back. So then you kind of there's kind of defenders sorted. Again, I didn't do the best of example because he dropped for no reason. But my point being, somebody drops, and then you see what happens with the fullbacks. But this is where we need someone who can break the lines, because they're gonna remain penned in. They're gonna remain rigid. And for honest, for 25 minutes, I was thinking, I wasn't saying I was confident against Villa, but I was thinking, alright, cool, they're going to sit back against us. They're defending, they're trying to stay in, they're trying to get out of the relegation zone. You know, this means something to them. So I was looking for a case of, you know, when you've got 2 banks of 4, when you're playing 5 in midfield, when you've got as many men behind the ball as Villa did, I thought it was a matter of time before we get opportunities, because I was waiting for legs to start tire, concentration to start dropping, ultimately gaps start opening. And for the first 25 minutes, you've got Jack Grealish penned in. Like I said, we've got them penned in. Jack Grealish is here, getting the ball off his centre halves. That's fine for us. Second half, Grealish had a better game because he's in these areas, people. Grealish is there, we don't mind that. And I did feel the first 25 minutes, Villa were actually quite nervous because Mings made a mistake. They're just kicking the ball and they're trying to play it into these channels, people, for Trezeguet. Well, Trezeguet was on the right and whoever. But we've got 3 defenders and a fullback, so it's kind of dead. So we're equal to all of that in the air. They're not really posing much of a threat. Where we let ourselves down was obviously that set piece, people. Without doing it to scale. Again, it's enough, like against Chelsea, like against Spurs, like against Brighton. You know, we've switched off from a set piece. It was poor from Ceballos and / David Luiz in the build up. I think David Luiz, there wasn't much he could do. He had to get rid. And again, like, obviously for obvious reasons, I can't do this to scale, people. But in real times, obviously not to scale. Balls come in now. What I liked and what Villa did, Villa had, I think, Tyrone Mings and somebody else. You know, the balls come in, Tyrone Mings and someone else has darted to the far corner. I can't put him on there, there's not enough space. they've darted to the near post, and they've kind of just made themselves a nuisance. Because of that, the ball spilled out and it's fell to Trezeguet. Trezeguet has all the time in the world. He could have probably built a zoo or something. Like, he had so much time to sort his foot out. Martinez has no chance, you know. Martinez can't do much. We're reacting slow. You know, Cedric is the closest, but he's admiring and watching like us fans. And they've scored and we've let ourselves down, and they've gone ahead because of that. When they did get their goal, they were still remaining penned in, but naturally, because we have to chase the game, gaps started to open all over the field, and that's why you saw them have more joy on the counter. Best example potentially in the second half when Keenan Davis should have made it 2-0 and wrapped the game up. But we fundamentally lost this game because of, again, set pieces, letting ourselves down from that. And again, the men in possession, like when we have the ball in games like this, when you're penned in, you need to know what you're doing. You know, if you're playing with a back three, one luxury of playing with a back three as a centre half trio is you're more encouraged to be on the ball. There's more stability through being on the ball. There's not really much options for the man in play, people. Because when we had the ball, you saw something like this. You saw Cedric Suarez had about 11 crosses, and I don't think he hit the target at all. You know, Ceballos is dropping deep. You know, Torreira should be the one dropping deep, but he's up there. What else have we got? Then you've got our front three, where they're quite narrow. They're not in the game. You know, they can't get in the game. Apologies, people. I've got silent. Like, you don't know I'm doing this. In reality, yeah, you had something like that when we was on the ball. Like I said, they would drop and make it a five in midfield. But you had something like that. Obviously, when Martinez has the ball, you want our centre halves to peel. There's no point. You want our fullbacks to stay as high as possible. Cedric and Saka. You want our you know, Collagen actually did this more in the second half, but he's peeled out. You want that. The problem now is when Ceballos drops deep and gets it and spins. Even though I don't think Ceballos is particularly breaking the lines enough, there's no options really. When you're sitting and it's for Arteta and them man there to figure it out. There's not really an option, you know. Your most creative midfield on the pitch in Ceballos is deep there, similar to Grealish with us. You don't mind that. There's no one else. Torreira, that's not his skill set, and if we continue with a pivot, Torreira's in trouble. You know, we couldn't get our midfield three into the game. I mean, our front three into the game. When Cedric is getting the ball, he's getting in behind, but he's not putting a cross. He's not putting a name on the cross. Saka is trying. But we have problems breaking down teams when they defend in their own half specifically. We can't break down teams like this. We can play against City and these teams there, because City, they're an attacking team. They're going to come out, gaps are going to open. Villa are fighting for their lives. They're going to, being rigid and stable is the fundamentals for them in these last two games. And it served them right. We were struggling, you know. You know, we've got our strikers up there, and Aubameyang was trying to be as central as he could, Eddie as well, and they were trying to concede as much width to allow our fullbacks in as possible. You've got our midfielders up there as well, like I said, Torreira and Ceballos. You know, our centre-halves are on the halfway line. We've got to be able to break down teams. Because, like I said, when you play against City, we have got some ability to do it. You know, 17, 18 passes against City. But the cynic in me will tell you there's gaps. Look at Lacazette's role in that game. He wouldn't have been able to do that against Villa. We need to find a way of breaking down teams, because on top of game management, poor from set pieces, you know, not starting games well, regular themes as to why Arsenal find themselves in the position they do, you know, breaking down teams. And it's not just on the midfield. I don't think our midfield offers enough creativity, goals and assists, but away from that creativity. But our centre-halves, like David Luiz is trying to play a pass, but nobody's trying. I'm not saying to force it, but somebody's got to try. Someone's got to roll the dice. And we made it easy for Villa, really and truly. Our best chance was probably Eddie Nketiah, where he hit the post. And again, the strikers have to take some responsibility, because if I'm a striker and I haven't had a shot, I'm not going to look at the team not creating. I'm going to try and get onto the ball. But at the same time, we've starved our servicemen. We've not had any chances, you know. I'd be surprised if Rainer's kit is dirty, you know. The only positive I saw initially is when it was the first 25 minutes. I liked the way I don't even like the way we pressed. I think we conceded way too much space from them centre halves. We allowed Mings and that to get on the ball and get a bit of confidence, and that's actually something for Villa to learn from. You know, if teams give you that, you know, go out and play. And I think it even took them a while to do that sort of thing, people. I'm not going to criticise playing three at the back, because I was saying play three at the back before, but you know, it's someone in Arteta's position, maybe he concedes that. In games like this, do I need to have three centre-halves? Can I take off, or can I just go with a four at the back? And whether that gives me an extra midfielder or whatever I want to do, allow me to do that. Yeah, man, I think this was a problem. And yeah, we didn't have enough. We had shots, but we didn't hit the target. I mean, Aston Villa have allowed, prior to this game, 591 shots against them. That's the most of any team. How many saves did Reina have to make, people? For Arsenal, obviously, 46% of our goals have been conceded this season via set pieces, which is 21. That's the highest ratio in the division. So there's something for us to learn from. You know, you look at Spurs, Toby Alderweireld. You look at the Brighton defending. You look at this game. You know, if we go further back, I'm sure if I go through my videos, I'll find more from set pieces. So set pieces, game management, it's another case of regular thieves, people. We've lost 10 league matches for a third consecutive season for the first time since a run of 7 between 1981 and 1982. And also 97 and 98, which is crazy, people. You know, 60 minutes in at a point, we had no shots on target. And like Xhaka said, in my opinion, you can't come here and play like this. It's not good enough. And you can't play with this mentality. We'll do everything to win the FA Cup now and do better. And I won't say, I don't think we've ever gone out there to disrespect a team, but I do think there was a handbrake off. You know, you kind of thought we played well against Liverpool and City. We'll come here and get a result. You might have thought there's no fans, there's no 12 men. Villa are playing sorry for themselves. I told you, lot, you have to be careful of these teams with their backs against the wall. You know, Watford, we've got Watford next. You know, a point, depending on what happens, a point's enough to keep them safe. You know, them and Villa are fighting on goal difference. In fact, I even saw a stat, like, I can't remember it and I could be wrong, but if Bournemouth win 1-0, if Arsenal win 1-0, and if something else happens to the same scoreline, Bournemouth can technically stay up, which I'm not too sure if it's just people running jokes on Twitter or not. But if it is, it highlights how techie it is. So where we've gone wrong today, you've got to learn from it against Watford, because you know we're not a top 6 side anymore, but you know Villa have kind of struggled against top 6 sides, or even if they've had decent games, they've not won necessarily. Who's the common denominator here off the back of that game? It is what it is in that regards, man. You know, like I said, congratulations to Aston Villa, because I felt on the whole, they defended well, they worked well, they withstanded pressure for 25 minutes, they exploited Arsenal when they could, they defended their lead well. You know, there was a couple of nervy moments, but they deserved their 3 points, and credit to them, really, and it's a lot for us to move forward with. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I'm sure if you offered Arsenal fans, you know, a win against Liverpool and City and to lose to Villa, we wouldn't be happy, but they would have taken it. So I'm not going to get too upset, but at the same time, it shows that anytime you think you're going 2 steps forward as a team, we've gone 10 steps back. And to be fair with you, if we was to be real cynical, we've probably had a lack of creativity in all them games, widespread. In fact, let me be fair, City, I did think we created enough. But there are similarities between the 3 games we played, especially with what we do in possession. But that's all I wanted to say, people. You know, the best thing is the Premier League season's over on Sunday, and this season can be put to bed and we can forget about it for a couple of weeks. But on that note, I'm out, man. I've got nothing more to say. It's always a pleasure speaking with you guys, and I'll be back soon, man. People, DG, I'm out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check out the bio for all my socials to follow me on and stuff like that. Till we meet again, people, I'm out.